Basically, okay. So guys, we already discussed about the Ansible normal way, that how the ad hoc commands works, how the Ansible works, how you spin up the EC2 instance, and a lot more troubleshooting we have done on those things. Now we will move a little bit ahead, and we will talk about the Ansible playbooks, that how Ansible playbooks are important and why they are very helpful for us. Now, when I talk about the benefits of using the Ansible or something, okay. Now, the first thing which we need to understand here is that Ansible is a free and the open source. Okay, so it's a free and it's open source and being used widely in the market, and it's being like tested for a lot of things. And you don't need any some coding skills. You don't need to do a lot of code or those stuff. Okay, a simple conceptual things are there, which is quite easy to understand, which is quite easy to maintain and put up. Okay, you don't have to do a lot of things there, right? So it's just one configuration, one thing, and you write up a few lines of a code, or you issue one command, and that will do the task, or that will do the job to all of the servers. Okay, now while we were talking about Ansible and things, we found these few of the terminologies, okay, which are very important. The one is host. Host means that what is the remote machine, or from where you are basically connecting to the Ansible. Okay. In other words, I would say your Ansible master server means from where all of your Ansible things will be executed. Group. In the inventory, we saw that we create a group. So we create a aliases. Now, based on those aliases, what happened is that you basically say and you write up that, hey, these are the different aliases, these are the different things through which you have to connect to. These are the different list of the hosts or the servers or the IPs through which we connect to. So those are what? Those were our groups or the aliases. Okay. Inventory is basically a combination of all these hosts and groups together. Now, when you combine these hosts and these groups together, and you form a one file, okay, which you call as inventory. By default, we all know that that path is located at etc Ansible host. Okay. Likewise, we have our modules. Now, you while running few of the other commands and while looking over the things, we saw that there is a ping. Okay, minus m you pass ping, minus m you pass copy, minus m unzip, minus m archive, minus m tar scp, and so on, right? All these are what? These all are nothing but these all are your different modules, okay, or different libraries or the things which have been used in Ansible for the coding stuff. Okay, or I would say that for the right, which has been used in Ansible, so that you don't have to write the entire logic, just call that particular library or module, and with help of that you can issue a command or run the things. Like with the ping, we saw that you can just write minus m ping, and that will automatically take care of the background stuff, and it will ping to the servers and execute it and write it. Likewise, we have a copy command. Likewise, we have a ssh command. Okay, now then we do have different another command known as task. Now task is what? It is some kind of a action or the steps where you define some of the arguments, some of the modules and these things together to make sure that these are the task defined, and all those list of tasks we call it as a playbook. Now we'll see in detail how it is important. Roles we'll talk about a little later in Ansible, that how the roles is work. Now, all this playbook, all this thing is written up in a YAML. Okay, there is a particular format which you use for writing of this language or this thing, which is known as what? Which is known as YAML. YAML stands for, guys, YAML stands for Shilpa, Ankit. YAML stands for, okay, YAML stands for yet another markup language. Am I audible, guys? Right. I'm audible. That's okay. So it stands for yet another markup language. Okay. Now it's again similar to the any other language where you define, where you have the variables, where you have the loops, where you'll have the a particular syntax or a particular way through which you write it. Now Ansible does have its own way of writing it or own way of putting it together. Like, yeah, like before just going that playbook is what? It's just a you automate the repeating task using this or any of the reusable and these files and these things using the playbooks. Okay, using writing this steps. Now let me show you first of all how does playbook look like. Any of the playbook look like this. Okay, the one which you see over this screen. Now it's pretty simple thing. See, the first of all the thing is that you always have to follow here the 4 space indentation character. Okay, now any playbook starts with its name. Okay, you write a name of a playbook where you say that okay, the playbook is named as so and so. This is nothing. This is just your name, a name you give to the playbook. In the host, you can define all, which so that it will pick up everything. If you don't want to put up all, you will define a particular server or IP, or you define a particular inventory or a particular alias, whatever you wish to. Then you come over to the task. Okay, then you come over to the task. Now task is what? Task has a different set of, again, the actions which you have to do. Means it says that copy file host with permissions, means just make a copy of the file or this thing with a permission. Now what you do, you write a name of a task first of all, which will tell you that what is the name of this task. Then you do write Ansible built-in copy module and you give a source and the destination path. Now copy means what? That it basically copies the file from your local machine or from their source machine to the destination, to the host machine. Okay, nothing else. Okay, it does that. Okay, just give me a sec, guys. Now this is the copy module. Okay, now you have the source, destination, you define the mode which will give you the file permission and these things. Likewise, if you have to define another set of actions, okay, another set of actions. So now another set of actions will be what? Key, you have a user you have to add, right? So you just you just copy a module name as user and you give name Bob, become yes, become method sudo, means switch over to this particular user. Okay, this means what? That switch over to this particular user. Likewise, if you have to upgrade all the packages, so you will write apt or yum, whatever the module you have to use based on the server variant. Okay, you will use that particular module and you will install the particular util and this thing. Now here you see that when you define any playbook, anything, you have to basically write a group of hosts, write a name of the playbook, and after that you have to group a list of tasks. With each task, they have their some informations like the name, the module it has to use, and these are what? These are the arguments of the module, right? For the copy module, these are the arguments. So they are inside the copy module. Likewise, this name is the module for the user. Okay, become is a different module, become method is a different. Likewise here for upgrade, and this is different module. Okay, so you have to give those module names and these things. Getting it? Any questions so far? Okay, so we are good so far, right? With this. Now, by any chance, anyone has okay, everyone would have, no one would have the AC2 instances spin up, right? One second, not an issue. Okay. Now, so let me show you that how you can run this playbook and what happens. Okay, how it looks like, right? Now, once you run this playbook, okay, once you run this playbook, so you issue a command. There's a command known as Ansible hyphen playbook, and you give the name of a playbook. Okay, intro playbook.yaml. This is the name of this playbook. Now, once you run it, it executes from here. Okay, it starts executing and it checks for the host reachability and these things. Then it executes one by one each task. This was one of your tasks, so it executes that. This was another task, it executes that. This was another task, it executes that. And end of the story, it says the play recap where it says that for host one, okay, 4 means how many tasks you had. If you see here on this file, you had 1, 2, 3 tasks, right? And one is the first section. So it says okay 4, change 3 because 3 tasks were there, so 3 things has been changed. Okay. Likewise for host 2, 3 okay 4, change 3. With this, we understand that how many tasks were there and how many tasks has been changed and other stories we get to know. Okay. Now, sometimes what happens that your playbook is not actually, you are not sure that whether your playbook is right or wrong, right? So you can write this command Ansible playbook hyphen hyphen syntax hyphen check. This will check for the syntax of your playbook or validate your playbook. Okay, getting it? This command will do check for the syntax and these things. Okay, for your playbooks. Now, not only that, but also if you want to dry run, if you just don't want to run completely, and if you just want to run with dry run the playbook, okay, and see that how the things are working. So you just have to pass minus C option. Means you will pass Ansible playbook minus C. Let's say that intro.yaml. Okay. This option will give you the run it dry. Means it will not run it actually, but it will not. Okay. Anyone any questions so far? Now, so playbooks do what? Playbooks basically they record and execute your Ansible configuration and desire and deployments and these things. Okay, playbooks do what? They basically record and execute the Ansible configurations, deployments, orchestration functions. They can describe policy you want to run on your remote system to enforce it to execute any of the processes. Getting it? Now, hey Henry,
Good afternoon. Good evening, sir.
good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Great. So we are discussing about the Ansible playbook, Henry. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, so we are just we are today we are just talking about a theoretical concept of Ansible playbook. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, now guys, if you see this, okay, now if you see this, so now in this, what you have to do is that you have to look further that how you can use the further playbooks and these things. Okay, well, let's look over some of the examples of a playbook. Okay, now there could be one of a big playbooks which you will see. Okay. But we don't want to go with the big playbooks for these things, right? Now there is a different templates which you use. Okay. There is a Jinja 2 templates. There are different other kind of a ways through which you can do this. But let's not go and divert through all of those things. So uh, so let's work with some of the these things only. Now, before all of these things, the few of the things which we can use or which we can do while writing a playbook and the trains. Okay, before that, we will be just talking about the how can we have a variables in a playbook. Okay, how can we have variables in playbooks? Now, pretty simple, right? Now, to use a variable or any variable name, so let's say that we give an example here. Okay, so let me write one. This idiot. So it won't follow that syntax probably here. So let me just copy paste it from there so that it. Okay. Now this is my variable playbook. It is the all hosts I'm running it. I have defined one vars is one of my module. Okay. Define that. Now there are two variables. Okay. One is a state, which values map is to latest. One is the user for which value is mapped to the Bob. Okay. I say that add the user this user. Okay. Built-in user name user, upgrade all packages, install the state of a package nginx state. Okay. Now you always have to define any variable with these two curly braces and with the space between the name. Okay, this is how you define the variable. Now you can use this variable anywhere, like you have this user variable, so whenever you execute it will go with the add the user Bob, name will be Bob. Install nginx package, it will install and it will state that state latest, means install the latest version of this. So we have a two variables. To refer variable, we have to add these codes and these things. Okay. Now once we run this playbook, okay, once we run this playbook, so what's going to happen is that it will do nothing. It will basically execute like this. You see, play variables playbook, gathering facts, add the user Bob. You see, upgrade all the packages, install the latest of the package, nginx. Guys, getting it?
So Sachin is saying that the code which you wrote before, if you will execute it, then this will happen. Like
Sorry?
fast. The code is the code which you have written. If we do that, like this user and this thing, then that will happen. Next.
Yeah, if you execute that, then this will execute like this.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Hello, sir.
yeah, Henry.
Yeah, between Ansible and Terraform, which one is preferable to use in terms of provisioning of
Between
infrastructure? Ansible and Terraform, which one is more important, and which one will you recommend for someone to use in terms of provisioning of infrastructure?
nice, very good question. So now, both Terraform and Ansible are DevOps tool. Okay, but the question is that how do they differ? Now the point is that Terraform is what, that is also one of our open source and your infrastructure as a code platform. However, Ansible is again your open source configuration management tool, right? Which focus on the configuration of the infra, right? Now, there are few differences, there are few similarities between them. At a very high level, if I talk about the similarities, Terraform and Ansible, they both are almost same. Both of them have a capability of provisioning the infrastructure, right? Both of them have the capability to provision the infrastructure, to configure the infrastructure. Okay. Both of them can execute the remote commands on any of the virtual machine, right? Why? Because if both of them can execute the commands, why? Because they both are agentless. They both are what? Agentless. Now there's a very, very thin line of a difference between agentful and agentless. Agentless means you, for running Terraform or for executing Terraform commands or Ansible commands on any other server, you are not installing the agent. You are not installing Terraform or Ansible on any other server, right? You are just installing it on one server, and from there you are running or executing the commands on the other remote servers. So that's why this is what, this is a agentless. But wherever you have to have the agent also on another server, that is your agenting. Okay. Now both of them does almost the same thing. Okay. Both of them do the SSH connectivity, helpful in the provisioning and configuring the infrastructure, can able to execute commands remotely. This is the similarity. Now, the point is that when you talk about the differences, right? Now, one is your orchestration tool, that is Terraform. Another one is your configuration management tool, that is Ansible. Both of them have a uh, different types of ways through which it can process. Okay, the things means one follows your the Terraform follows not uses YAML format, it follows the HLC. This uses YAML format, and Terraform has
Oh,
a declarative approach, whereas Ansible has a procedural approach. So looking at all this, why I told you all this, so that you understand that, okay, what are the differences. Okay. Now, when looking at all those things, okay, when you talk about all this stuff and things together, now the point is that both, which one has to be used, right? Which one has to be used, or which one cannot be replaced. So in that case, I would say that they both are competitor to each other. Okay. It's not only about this. There is a Packer, there is a Cloud Foundry, there is any other things also, right? So both are what? Both are the competitor to each other, but I cannot say that you have to use Ansible or you have to use a Terraform, because when you have to do both orchestration and configuration, means you have to spin up an infra and you have to do configure that also. So you have to go with the Terraform, because Terraform maintains a life cycle. Okay. Terraform maintains life cycle of the environment, and it concerns with the infra provisioning, scaling operations and these things, as well as configuration thing. Whereas the other one does not do that way. Okay. So both of them have the capability together. So it's our own decision that on which we have to use or which we have to not use. However, the good point or good thing, I can just say that there is no reason to choose between the two. Okay, which I don't see any reason to choose. Both have their own pros, both have their own cons, and you can accordingly go through with that. Based on the requirement, you have to choose which one will best suit your requirement. Did I answer your question?
you did, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so okay. Now, another kind of a playbook, if I show you guys. Okay. Now this is another example of a playbook where I am saying that update only the web servers. Okay. Now this is remote user root, means all these are the privilege escalations. I'll talk about that. And it says what? Install Apache, right? Ensure Apache is at latest version. Apache process is what? HTTPD. Yum is one of a module. Okay. Latest state means just check that HTTPD is at its latest version. And background, it is going to run the same command, yum install HTTPD. But this is how you write it here. Okay. Write the Apache config file. It's writing the Apache config file from the source to destination, just copying it over. Then you are now, you have another Ansible playbook here. Update DB servers, this time DB only. And installing PostgreSQL and starting the PostgreSQL. Okay. Now all these tasks which are there in Ansible, they all are executed one by one. They all are executed one by one, right? Now, there is no such thing that you cannot execute like that. Okay. Now, to run your playbook, having said that, you have to use Ansible playbook command. Okay. Ansible hyphen playbook command. Now, apart from that, you can also use the Ansible lint to check for the errors and these things, but that's not actually like you have a playbook syntax and those stuff which you can use up. Okay. Now, yeah, now important part is to understand about the privilege escalation, right? Privilege escalations. Now here we have what? This become. We use become more often. Okay, become is a keyword with which when you use, so it basically nothing, it's your privilege escalation tool, like your sudo su and these things. Okay, so how this become directive, what it does, that it basically sets to yes. Now when you know that you have to install any service or anything, you have to become root. So you write like this: ensure HTTPD service is running. Now it's a service, right? You have to check that whether a particular service is running or not. In background, this is doing what? It is basically checking service HTTPD status. Okay, or it is basically starting the HTTPD service. Now this command you always run via root user only, otherwise it won't allow you to run when you have to start. Status you can check via the normal user but not start. For that you have to do the privilege escalation. So you write become yes. Now with become yes, it means that it will, when it do SSH, so it will do what? It will basically do the sudo automatically. Okay, it will do the sudo automatically. Likewise, to run any of the command as the Apache user, let's say. So you write a command, whatever the command you want to run it, it will run it. Okay. Now, if you have to run anything and you have to change the shell also, you have to run anything, you have to change the shell also. So you write become yes, means go to the privilege escalation. Now, this time you might not want to switch to the root user. You want to switch to a particular username as nobody. So you will switch to a username as nobody. Become method will be su, become flags. You will write that this is your become flags. Getting it, guys? Any questions with this? Everyone got? Now, let's move on to the loops. Okay. What exactly we are having a loops here. Okay. Now, there would be the chances where you have to do put up a lot of different files, multiple things and these steps. Okay. Now in Ansible, when you have to iterate over the things, the steps, okay, the syntax which you follow pretty well. Okay. That syntax is basically you write with underscore items. Okay. You write with underscore items with this colon here, and here you define one. Okay, let's say 2 3 as a list you have defined, 4 and so on. Okay, so like this you have a loops. okay, through which you iterate. Now you can also write the loop as a keyword, and you can write the syntax and those things, but normally we follow a particular standard or a way where we write in this manner only. How I'll show you. Okay. Now let's say that you want to register a particular loop output to a variable. Now here I'll just write with items. Okay. Now you say that in the shell you have to echo something. Okay. You just want to run a command echo, and you want to echo multiple things. Okay. So you give what? Echo item. Item is what? It's your variable. What variable? These variable 1, 2, like this. Register is a command which will basically register the output of this particular thing in a particular variable. Okay. It will register the output in a variable. Now, when you put up the things in a register, so you get the standard output over the screen, over the console when you run your playbook. Okay, whenever you run your playbook, you get that things. Okay. Now, there are a lot of ways through which you can run this. Okay, like so let's say that if you want to, few more examples are like this that you can use like this. Then let's say that you want to show all the hosts in inventory, and you wrote some debug message. Okay, and you are just looping through groups all. Okay, groups all means in your inventory you are going through all the groups, or you are going through other kind of things. Okay, so now again everything has a different story and different stuff, that wherever you have to put up these things. Now let's say you have to create some server. Okay, here on a digital ocean, you have given the name of a server as a item.name, state present. Now you are given this loop variable. Now your loop control is what? Item.name means you are going through item.name. You can have one more loop variable here with the name as server2, another as server3, means to create different servers. This item.name will be replaced with what, guys? Can anyone tell me here? What code? Item.name will replace itself with the server name, server1, server2, server3, right? What is the name of a server in this code? Server1. So it will replace itself with server1. Another case, it will replace itself with server2. So likewise, we have a loop variable and these things, okay, through which we go with the loop variables, and we run that. Okay. Now also there is the error handling. Okay, there is an error handling which you do in the while writing the playbooks, right? Error handling. How you do that? Let's say you want to ignore unreachable hosts. You don't want to think or anything, or you don't want to execute unreachable host. So you will just write ignore unreachable, and yes, and that will ignore all your unreachable hosts. That is one thing. Okay. Another is, let's say that you are running some command and things, and you want to uh, check the failure output. Okay, you want to check the failure. So you say that failed task when commands error output prints failed, means when you have running some kind of a command like this, so you store the result, and if this comes in with the failed keyword, okay, in the error, so you have to fail this task. You have to consider this task as what? That it is failed. Okay. Likewise, if you see that the output is not change, what are these change failed? These are these things. Okay, this change failed, unreachable, these things. Okay, based on this, it is capturing the error. Okay. So now here, if you see this change, right? It says when you say name report change when the return code is not equal to 2. Me, like you are expecting that there once your playbook executes, there will be two tasks which will be definitely going to make a changes. Correct? There are two tasks which is definitely going to make a changes. In that case, when there are two tasks which are definitely going to make a changes, when you run this command, so whatever your result output is, right, that should have, that should be equal to 2 or more, whatever it is. So what we said that if it is not equal to 2, so what we say that this will never report change status. Okay, so change one will be false for this. Now, like this, there are multiple commands. Like this, there are multiple scenarios, multiple things which we basically use, guys. Okay, which we execute on a time to time basis. There are hundreds of scenarios you can create here. There are hundreds of scenarios you can create. Okay, there is one important concept of a dynamic inventory which we will talk about. Okay, we'll talk about roles. Okay, how can you, we'll talk about the different scenarios you can use. We'll talk about how can you use other Ansible playbook and import other playbooks. Okay, how you can include and importing, including and importing is important thing. Okay, and we can also talk about Ansible vault, means when you have to use a secrets and a password, so how you can use that. Now these all things will be our another key discussion point, because these things you have to understand. I will show you guys that how you can execute the Ansible using a different 2 3 examples. Okay, I can run the playbooks and I can show you that how you can execute it. But more and other thing would be more on your practice on yourself, that how it will be. We will see in next session that how we can install different services, like you have the mm, uh, Nginx, okay, or Apache, okay, on your remote servers. Okay, how you can copy multiple files. Okay, how you can check whether a process is running or not. Okay, how you can untar any file. So these kind of scenarios we can take up together and we can put it up. Okay, and we can say that okay, these are the things which we have to do there. Now these things is gone, these things won't like make much of a difference also, but that will give you the confidence that how these playbooks are executed and run over the different EC2 instances and the server, and how it is helpful for us. So we'll cover up these and then we'll talk about these few things, and also we'll talk about the Ansible Galaxy, which is another important thing, Ansible Tower, and how to use these things. Okay, so these are the few of the important things which I consider myself that with the help of Ansible. Okay, now again there are multiple things, having said that it's not that you have only this much with the Ansible, but this is what we use on a more and more basis. Okay, I don't find any other stuffs and any other things much for this, but I find this much in there. Okay, there is one two more thing like gather facts stuff which we can talk about. So these are the few other things. So let's focus on these things in the next session along with the execution of this. Now, before that, guys, I know that this is, well, this is not a thing which you can understand the writing playbook, because we ourselves take always help of Google Baba. Okay, we can't do ourselves with the things without going with the Google Baba stuff, because it's not that easy also. It comes with a day-to-day practice and day-to-day things. Okay, when you write all the stuff together, correct? So I'm not expecting you guys to be proficient in a day one to day two, but the whole point and the whole agenda is that did you got the complete idea that how it is running and how what all things are there and this, did you guys got that? Unmute yourself and speak up, please, if you want to. You got a idea of a playbook, why this, so how this playbook is going to help you in terms of automations, right? Let's say there's a scenario where you have to, where you let's say that you have some tar file, okay, a zip file which contains your Python code. Now what you have to do is that you have to copy over that particular Python code to multiple servers. That is one task. So what you have to, and you have to run that code, okay, and you have to set up a cron entry. Three things you have to do. Now you have a tar code. What you will do, you will first pick up that tar code, copy it over to the your other remote servers, okay, whatever 100 servers are there, you copied it to that. Second is you are going to untar it to on all of the 100 servers. The third is what, you will run the desired file whichever you want to. Fourth is what, you will check whether the desired output you wanted to get came or not. Fifth is what, you will set up a cron entry. Now you have to write up 5 tasks to execute these 5 things. Correct? So you have to write 5 tasks to execute these 5 things. Means you have to use a different 5 modules which gonna execute these things, which gonna help you with the to achieve that particular automation. This, but this one code, one YAML file with these 5 tasks will help you to deploy the utility over the 100 servers in just few hours. No manual efforts, nothing, right? These kind of a use cases are the things we do write the Ansible configuration and the Ansible stuffs, and we put it up all together. Okay. So like this, we will be continuing further with the Ansible and with the things, and we will talk about further and more. Now, tomorrow we cannot have a class, right? So because I'm like, I will not be available tomorrow, unfortunately, and on weekend also. So we'll try to see that if we can have something on weekday in the next week so that we can cover up the things. Okay. I'll ping in the group, and as I said that there are already very few people joining in. So you guys are joining in, I'm always there. Okay. And post then we can continue further with the our weekend sessions as we wrap there. Any doubts, any questions so far? Is it
So, sir.
something Ansible playbook, something interesting, something meaningful you guys find it that? So
Yeah,
how
it's very interesting, sir.
yeah, how many of you find it easy to write up? It's nothing, no, it's just that once you are familiar with little bit module and the steps, you just have to write that. You don't have to do anything else, right? For Ansible. Right, Shilpa?
Yes, Sachin, the concept wise, it's easier, but yeah, those commands and all, by practice only we'll get it.
That is, to be honest, I myself don't do it via the, apart from the, like, I myself have to look over the Google. I know how to write it. That's enough. That's it. I can't remember these many modules, right? I can't remember these many steps. So if I know how to write it, if I know how to execute this, what has to be used where, that's it. Nothing else you need that. Rest you need is Google. That's it. Okay, great. So we'll execute this, but I'll request you, all of you, to keep on trying that ad hoc command link which I have sent over there. Keep on working on that so that we can go over the things. Okay. Okay. So any doubts, anyone? Rajeshwari, any doubt? Henry, Ankit, Shilpa? Yes, Rajeshwari, do you have any doubt?
As of now, I got it.
I'm sorry.
I don't have any doubts.
Don't have any.
Yeah, I see the comments and now I understood what you said. With the playbook.
So unfortunately, we are not able to hear you very well. And So if I hear it rightly, so it's basically that you don't have any doubts and you're going to practice up and the things. If there is anything else, you can. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. Fine, guys. I think we are good with the playbook introduction. Try to watch some of the YouTube videos. Try to go through the DevOps school blogs and these things over the playbooks. Okay. Try doing these things. Try to see that how you can run Jenkins and Ansible together. Okay. Try to see that. So when you're going to see those things, so we can go ahead with that thing. Okay, so I guess everyone is good. So great, guys. Thank you very much again for joining in over the weekday and taking out time for the session. So please practice and do more things as you can. And any questions, any doubts, always I'm there on the WhatsApp. Reach out to me. So I'll be there. And let's connect again sooner and let's continue with the playbook execution and the things. There are a lot of the really interesting things going to come in now as and when we are going to complete Ansible. With next we are going to start with a uh, Terraform first, and then further we will be starting up with the few more other interesting concepts with some of the monitoring tools and the things too. So that is going to help you a lot. Okay, and then we'll do some projects together, that how your Jenkins and these things gonna help you. So yeah, so there are a lot of good interesting things now going to come up. Okay, we have to do with the Docker, I know, but I'm just dragging Docker a little further so that you can keep on doing with the other things first. Okay, yeah. Chalo. Okay then, fine guys, thank you very much. Bye bye, have a good day.